Imagine yourself as a child, standing alone in a vast, shadowy forest. The trees whisper secrets you can't quite hear, and from the underbrush a dark figure emerges, not a monster, but a distorted version of yourself, carrying the weight of forgotten pains and unspoken fears. It's calling your name, pulling you deeper into the unknown. Have you ever felt that pull in your own life, that nagging sense of being stuck, repeating the same mistakes, unable to move forward, as if invisible chains from your past are holding you back? What if I told you that Carl Jung, the visionary psychologist, unlocked the key to breaking free from these unresolved childhood wounds? By the end of this video, I'll reveal a transformative Jungian practice that can help you confront and integrate these hidden parts of your psyche, changing how you live forever. Welcome to this deep dive into the mind of Carl Jung. If you're new here, this channel explores the profound insights of psychology's greatest thinkers, turning their ideas into practical tools for your everyday life. Today, we're tackling something universal: those lingering wounds from childhood that keep us feeling trapped. Jung believed that our early experiences shape not just our behaviors, but the very architecture of our souls. And here's the promise. Stick with me through this journey, and at the end, I'll share a powerful Jungian technique for healing these wounds, one that could unlock the freedom you've been craving. Let's start at the beginning, with Jung's own life, because his story mirrors the struggles many of us face. Born in 1875 in a small Swiss village, Carl Gustav Jung grew up in a household filled with tension. His father was a pastor, devout but plagued by doubts about his faith, which created an atmosphere of unspoken emotional turmoil. Jung's mother, meanwhile, suffered from what we'd now call mental health issues, episodes of depression and what seemed like dissociative states. As a young boy, Jung felt isolated, often retreating into his imagination. He had vivid dreams and visions that terrified and fascinated him. One recurring image was of a giant phallic stone in his basement, which he later interpreted as a symbol of the unconscious forces bubbling up from below. This early isolation planted the seeds of what Jung would call unresolved childhood wounds. These aren't just the big traumas, abuse, neglect, or loss, though those certainly count. They're also the subtle ones, the unmet needs for love, the feelings of inadequacy when a parent favored a sibling, or the confusion of mixed messages like, "Be yourself but don't embarrass us." Jung argued that these wounds don't just fade away. They burrow into our unconscious, forming complexes, clusters of emotions, memories, and ideas that operate like autonomous entities in our psyche. Think of them as hidden programs running in the background of your mind, influencing your decisions without you even knowing. Have you ever wondered why you sabotage relationships just when they get good? Or why you freeze up in situations that remind you of a parent's criticism? That's the complex at work. Jung saw this in his patients and in himself. In his autobiography, Memories, Dreams, Reflections, he recounts a pivotal moment from his childhood. At age 12, he fainted after being pushed by a schoolmate, hitting his head. For months, he used this as an excuse to avoid school. But one day, overhearing his father's worry about finances, Jung forced himself to confront the fear. This act of will, he said, was his first glimpse of overcoming inner obstacles. But it also highlighted how childhood events can create patterns of avoidance that persist into adulthood. As we move into the conflict internal block of our story, let's explore how these wounds manifest in adult life. Jung's concept of the persona is key here, the mask we wear to fit into society. Often, this persona is built as a defense against those early hurts. If you felt unloved as a child, you might become the eternal people-pleaser, always seeking approval. Or if you were criticized harshly, you could develop a tough exterior, hiding vulnerability behind sarcasm or achievement. But beneath the persona lurks the shadow, the repressed parts of ourselves we deem unacceptable. Jung warned that ignoring the shadow leads to projection, We see our own flaws in others, creating conflicts that echo our inner turmoil. Take a modern example, Sarah, a successful marketing executive in her 30s. She feels stuck in her career despite promotions. Digging deeper, she realizes it stems from her childhood, where her parents praised her only for straight A's, ignoring her artistic side. Now, her shadow holds that creative child, repressed and resentful. Every time she dismisses a colleague's frivolous ideas, she's projecting her own denied self. Jung would say Sarah is in the grip of a complex, repeating the wound by stifling her wholeness. Pause for a moment and reflect. What mask are you wearing right now? Is there a part of you from childhood that's been pushed into the shadows, whispering that you're not enough? These questions aren't just rhetorical, they're invitations to your own inner work, just as Jung encouraged in his practice. Building on this, let's delve into the development psychological phase. Jung's theory of the unconscious isn't some abstract idea, it's a living, dynamic force. He divided it into the personal unconscious, our individual repressed memories, and the collective unconscious, home to archetypes, universal symbols inherited from humanity's shared history. Childhood wounds often activate these archetypes. For instance, the wounded child archetype might show up in dreams as an abandoned infant or a lost puppy, symbolizing unmet needs. Jung's own dreams were rich with such imagery. In one, he dreamed of a house with hidden basements, representing layers of the psyche. He believed dreams are the royal road to the unconscious, compensating for our one-sided conscious life. If you're feeling stuck, pay attention to your dreams. They might reveal the wound. A client of Jung's dreamed repeatedly of being chased by a dark figure. Through analysis, it traced back to a childhood betrayal by a friend, now manifesting as trust issues in relationships. In today's world, these ideas apply to everything from social media addiction to burnout. Scrolling endlessly? It might be avoiding the pain of loneliness from a fragmented family. Feeling unfulfilled at work? Perhaps it's the echo of a parent's unachieved dreams projected onto you. Jung emphasized active imagination, a technique where you dialogue with these inner figures. Imagine sitting down with your wounded child self. What does it need? Validation. Play. This isn't woo-woo. It's practical psychology, backed by Jung's decades of work. Remember that promise from the start? We're building toward a profound revelation on how to integrate these wounds. Hang in there, it's coming. Now approaching the climax archetypico, let's consider the hero's journey, which Jung influenced through his archetypal studies. Joseph Campbell popularized it, but Jung laid the groundwork. In this journey, the hero must confront the shadow in the belly of the whale, the darkest depths. For those stuck due to childhood wounds, this means facing the pain head-on, not running from it. Jung called this the process of individuation, becoming whole by integrating opposites, conscious and unconscious light and shadow. A turning point in Jung's life came during his break with Freud in 1913, plunged into what he called his creative illness. Jung experienced visions and hallucinations. He confronted terrifying figures from his unconscious, including Philemon, a wise old man archetype. By engaging with them through writing and art, his famous Red Book, he emerged transformed. This wasn't madness, it was alchemy of the soul, turning base wounds into gold. Think of your own climactic moments. Maybe it's that therapy session where you finally cry over a long-buried memory, or the day you quit a job that echoed your parents' expectations. These are archetypal confrontations. Jung said, "One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious." The climax isn't destruction, it's integration. The shadow, once befriended, becomes an ally, bringing vitality and creativity. As we ease into resolution, let's tie this back to feeling stuck. Unresolved wounds create what Jung termed enantiodromia, the tendency for things to swing to their opposites. Suppress sadness too long and it erupts as anger. Ignore your needs and life forces a breakdown. But resolution comes through awareness and action. Start small. Journal your dreams. Notice patterns in your reactions. Seek therapy rooted in Jungian principles. And now, the reward I've been teasing, the transformative Jungian practice to break free. It's the integration of the shadow through a ritual of self-confrontation. Here's how. First, identify a recurring stuck point in your life. Trace it back. What childhood memory does it evoke? Second, personify the wound. Give it a name like the abandoned boy or the criticized girl. Third, engage in active imagination. In a quiet space, visualize this figure. Ask what it wants, what pain it holds. Listen without judgment. Fourth, integrate it. Find ways to express this part in your daily life, maybe through art, hobbies, or honest conversations. Jung promised this leads to individuation, where you're no longer stuck, but flowing with life's deeper currents. This isn't a quick fix, it's a lifelong journey. But as Jung said, your vision will become clear only when you can look into your own heart. Who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakes. If this resonated, hit that subscribe button for more explorations into Jung's world. Next up, we'll dive into synchronicity and how meaningful coincidences can guide your path. Comment below. What's one childhood wound you're ready to confront? Share this video with someone who feels stuck. It might just be the key they need. Thanks for joining this inner adventure. Until next time, keep awakening.